Hello everyone and welcome to our show. We've got a great episode lined up for you this time. We're going to learn a little bit about the history of Paso Robles and then go in depth about the Adelaida district. After that, we're going to learn about some of the birds and animals that fly around the ranch. Then Ashley will bring us the news and we'll wrap up with another recipe from the Oso Libre kitchen. So let's have Jeanine tell us about the history of Paso Robles. Take it away, Jeanine.
Hi guys, Jeanine here. I'm out on the property today to tell you a little bit about the history of Paso Robles and more specifically the Adelaida AVA in which we're located. Paso Robles sits on the original mission trail chosen by the Franciscan friars, which was known as the El Camino Real. Our early history relates that Paso Robles was known to the Indians and the mission fathers as the Springs, or the Hot Springs, because of the many mineral springs in the area. Before the mission era, the area was inhabited for thousands of years by the Salinan Indian tribe. In 1857, the Paso de Robles land grant of 6 leagues, which is just over 25,000 acres, was purchased by brothers Daniel and James Blackburn and Lazarus Gottschalks. Daniel became the owner of 1 league of land, which became the town of Paso Robles, while the 2 other owners preferred the open land of 5 leagues to raise cattle and sheep. About 10 years later, Drury James moved to Paso Robles and purchased half interest in the Paso Robles town site. Blackburn and James are often referred to as the founders of Paso Robles, and fun fact, Drury James was the uncle of infamous outlaw Jesse James. Due to its numerous hot springs, Paso Robles quickly became known as a health resort and had people coming from all areas to soak in the healing waters. So Paso Robles started as a cow town, but more diversified agriculture soon followed suit with the additions of row crops, fruit and nut trees. Present day agriculture is still a large part of the local economy, but it's a little bit more focused on wine grapes and tourism. Speaking of wine grapes, we are here in the Adelaida district of the Paso Robles AVA. So AVA stands for American Viticulture Area. The Paso Robles AVA was established in 1983, but wasn't divided into districts until 2007. So the Adelaida district is the most northwestern of the 11 subdivisions. There are over 53,000 acres planted here. You'll notice lots of oak trees and rolling mountainous topography. One of the most important parts of the Adelaida district is its geology. So predominantly limestone soils, also known as calcareous. So calcareous soils are porous, which offer good drainage while also retaining water very well. We get a lot of coastal influence. We're only about 12 to 15 miles as the crow flies from the ocean. Provides consistent cool winds in the afternoons and leads to pretty significantly later harvest. For us, we usually don't harvest our grapes until October. Another factor for that is the amount of rainfall that we receive. We average 30 to 40 inches of rain each year, whereas our friends to the east only get about 9 to 12. So warm days and cool nights lead to complex fruit of exceptional quality. Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you can come enjoy the Adelaida district yourself soon.
Thank you, Jeanine. That was very informative. It's amazing how much history there is in this region, and not just about wine. Next time you're in town, you should all check out the Pioneer Museum or the Historical Society. There's a lot to learn at each of those places. Now it's out to the vineyard and Chris, and he's going to be telling us about all the animals and birds that fly around the vineyard.
Hi there, gang. Hey, it's Chris Behr here again, talking today about birds, sort of. Let's start with the owls. I got some notes because I forget everything. What happens here is we have barn owls on the property. We have about 15 homes for them, a very special box, and they come in and take up residency. And what they do for us in exchange for that is they provide what I'm going to show you right here. This is what they do. I'm going to scrape down a little bit, and I'm going to be washing my hands after this, but that's a pullet. This is a pullet. That means it's the entire mass of a gopher. If you open this up, everything's in it. The head, the skull, every bone, and all the hair. The only thing missing is the part that the owl wanted to keep for his nutrients. And here's your little skulls. And this tells us that this owl box is very active. And it's a friend of the vineyard. It's a big friend, because they'll eat 1,000 mice and gophers a year, each one of them. And at 300 yards between each box, that saves us an incredible amount of pesticides. So the barn owl is our friend, and it's a terrific manager for our vineyard to help us and our SIP program. So now let's go for a second to the bat. First of all, the bat's not a bird, it's a mammal. It's the only flying mammal in the world. And what's interesting is the bat is more adept at flying than any other bird because of the size of its wings and the way it moves. But it doesn't have feathers, it has hair. And the bats live in our bat houses. And the bat houses are put there to allow the bats to not get on our home where they cause a little havoc. But they're so vital because what they do is they eat all of the bugs and insects, especially mosquitoes, and a special moth. There's a moth that's very harmful to our vines. They will go and kill that at night. They're night stalkers. They're an amazing little creature. They save us an incredible amount of pesticides a year. And the bat guano, which many parts of the world use for fertilizer, we don't do that here, but it's a sought after item, and it's a very important part of our SIP program. The next bird is the falcon, the peregrine falcon or the other falcons. We have falcons here that are released here from the LA airport. They trap them there to prevent them from hurting the planes and hurting themselves, and then they bring them up here. Falcon is the fastest bird in the world. They will eat other birds, and the birds they eat are the starlings and the small birds which come in and attack our vines. They'll eat snakes and mice. And they're also a remarkable resource to have on our property, so we encourage them to live near and around our creeks by making it convenient. Our wildlife refuge, the more refuge we have, the more birds we get, the more untouched areas, except by cattle out there roaming. The next bird is the hawk. The hawk is very stealth. They will attack from above, and they will get snakes, raccoons, rabbits, mice, an occasional gopher, and they too are an integral part of our wildlife program. All of it combines to save us incredible amounts of energy. We don't have to use any poison on the property, because when you use a poison on a gopher, the gopher then gets eaten by a bird and the bird then dies. The last creature, which is the top of the food chain, is the bald eagle that lives here. We have a mom and a dad here that have been here for 4 years. They built a nest. There's 2 babies in the nest right now. I'm going to try to get some pictures of it today. And every year, the mom and the dad come back to our property, on the back of the property above a creek, and they mate. And the other thing that's interesting about eagles is they're very loyal. They stay mated for life. And sort of a sign of their life's time together is they add to their nest every year, and that's why the nest now is 7 feet across and 7 feet high. It started at 3 by 3. Every year they bring in new sticks and new logs and enlarge and make they put an addition on their building at the top of our oak tree. And it's a sign that they've been together a long time. They will mate once a year in the springtime, provide us with 2 babies. The babies grow up and at 6 weeks drop out. But the eagle does and eats whatever it wants, and it'll eat items that are those animals that are already dead, but it really takes care of our squirrels. And more important than that is when you have an eagle living on your property, as we're fortunate to have, it tells you that something's working on your property as far as wildlife refuge. They're not going to come if they're disturbed. They're not going to come if they don't have good food. They're not going to come if they don't have good line of sight and a good way to stay safe and build their nest, and they have to have water. So they love it here. When they fly by as they're leaving the property line, we always tend to get possessive and say, no, don't go too far and please come home. And we're very grateful that for the past 4 years they've done just that. So I hope I've given you a little bit of understanding of the things that fly above our heads. Those are the 3 birds we talked about and the 1 mammal, the bat. All 4 integral parts of our SIP program here at Oso Libre. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.
I was out there when they filmed that, and it's amazing looking under the owl boxes, all the remnants of little critters that are under there. They do a really good job. Next, it's off to Ashley and the news. Watch this.
Adelaida update for June 2020. And now an update of things going on in the Adelaida Hills and beyond. Let's start talking about the wine of the month, shall we? This edition of the news is brought to you by our Rojo del Patron, a hearty blend of Estate Primitivo and Cabernet Sauvignon blended in the right proportions to have just the right amount of fruit to balance with savory tannins. Notice the vibrant color, and take it from me, the aromatics are out of this world and the taste is perfect. Let's try. Oh, so good. A great accompaniment to tri-tip, grilled veggies, or smoked salmon. Even by itself, this wine hits the spot. And take it from your friend Ashley, Rojo del Patron is the perfect wine for summer. And it just happens to be our wine of the month. So order now and get an additional 10% off. So why not stock up?
Can we get moving now? Back to work.
Fine. Let's start off with some good news. A recent survey of the property has shown that most of the owl boxes are inhabited for the season and a few owlets have been hatched. Starting around dusk, you can hear the little ones screeching for their dinners. After about 10 weeks, they'll be able to start flying, but will stay with their parents for up to 7 months. They will then move out on their own to allow room for the next batch of owls to be born and raised. Also, we were able to find 2 eaglets that have recently hatched in our bald eagle's nest. These baby eagles should stay in the nest for 10 to 12 weeks, then head out on their own. They are amazing to see soaring around the property. Now for a quick grapevine check. Here it is. 3 weeks have passed since we have checked in on this vine and what progress it has made. This week in the vineyards, we are doing shoot thinning. This is the process of going vine by vine to create better balance by removing the non-fruit bearing shoots. This opens the canopy for afternoon breezes as well as sun exposure. It also prevents the vine from using energy for non-productive efforts. Rounding up the news is the shearing of the sheep. A couple of weeks ago it was the alpacas and now it was the sheep's turn. This will help the animals cool off just in time for summer and provide fleece for wool spinners to create all sorts of winter fashions from. Now, if you listen up, you can hear Barreto's upper lip start to quiver. Some say that these pieces of sage wisdom are more prophetic than Odin's ravens and more poignant than Hoda Kotb's latest children's book. It is time for Ashley's Opinions! Ah. This week, we have a long road ahead of us before we can make up our minds, but election season is upon us and we all have a big decision to make this year. Will it be the clown that can keep 30 china plates spinning at the same time while dodging eggs being thrown at him? Will it be the elderly comedian gentleman that tells Aesop fables but somehow manages to screw up the punchline?
Ashley!
What did you think I am talking about? God, I'm just going over the front runners for the summer season of America's Got Talent. Gosh.
Oh, okay. That's better.
It has just started, but there are some interesting acts aside from the 2 that I just mentioned, like the dancer that can dislocate both of his shoulders at will. I don't even know if I could do that. And the pigs. There are trained pigs. Ha! It is a very deep and diverse pool of acts that they have this season. I feel that we should all do our part and become informed about these individuals so that when the chance to vote comes, we can all make the best decision. Well, that is all from me. Now back to Michael. Yep, definitely can drink that all summer.
Okay, I saw the double jointed guy on TV, and all I can say is wow. It's like his joints are held together by rubber bands. They just pop in and out every which way. Well, I guess it's time to head to the kitchen. And this time, we're going to be trying a unique cooking method with our favorite piece of meat, the top round roast. So I hope you enjoy this. Hello, and welcome back to the kitchen at Oso Libre. I'm Michael Barreto. Today, I've got something special lined up for you. We're going to be going after our favorite top round roast again, and we've done it in different and unique styles. The end result of this recipe is going to be traditional. We're going to end up with a roast with mashed potatoes and gravy for the end result. But the way that we're going to get at it is going to be what's unique. A few years ago, Sous Vide kind of took the cooking world by storm. Everybody was doing it. Sous Vide is cooking meats, vegetables, and other foods in a water bath, which is a very precise temperature. So you can actually get something to stick and not overcook it. And so what we're going to do that's unique today is we're going to take this roast and we're going to cook it in a water bath or sous vide machine at 130 degrees, and it's going to be that temperature precisely for 24 hours. And what that should do is just cause everything to tenderize, be really soft, and turn it into a delicate piece of meat without overcooking it. And it's very simple to prep on this stuff. You just got to prepare ahead of time. So I'm doing this today so that we can eat tomorrow. What we're going to do is put it, I'm going to season it, and then we're going to put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in the bath, and then walk away. That's all we need to do. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of seasoning with salt and pepper. That's it for the salt, pepper down. There, we have our seasoned roast. Now, all I'm going to do is put it in a plastic bag. A lot of people will use the vacuum seal bags. Those work, and they're probably the next level of cooking. If you hang this over the side of the tub or a water bath, it will serve the same purpose. I've got my roast in there. I have some fresh rosemary that I picked out of the garden. Kind of put it all around the roast there. Get as much air out of it as I can. And I don't need to seal it completely. I'm just going to kind of leave the corner open on it so that it can breathe if it needs to. Get the air out of it when I put it in the water. Okay? So we're going to go to the water bath now. Allowing all the air to get out. You want to get all the air, as much air out of the bag as you can, or it'll float. Done that. And now I'm just going to seal this closed. And if you look at the controller, it cooled down a little bit because I just put the meat in. It'll come back to 130 degrees, which is what it's set at. And I got the timer set for 19 hours. So we're going to let this cook for 19 hours. And I'll come back tomorrow and I'll finish the rest of the dish. See you then. About 20 hours ago, we started our sous vide method of top round roast. Now it's time to pull it out. Let's see what happened. Temperature's still at 130 degrees. I'm opening it up, pulling out the bag, turn it off, and now we have our almost finished roast. Gonna open the bag. The thing about sous vide, if you're unfamiliar with it, is it doesn't look all that great coming out of the bag because it's just been kind of warmed. There's no grill marks or blacking on it or anything like that. So, got it out of the bag, getting some of the rosemary off. There's our finished piece of meat. I'm going to save this for our gravy. So, now what we need to do is brown it. And we're going to start off by drying off all the liquid that it's been immersed in, trying not to get too much of the seasoning off of it. Just need to pat it dry here and there. You can tell by the way I'm using the paper towels that we're past COVID, so we have a supply of them now. Okay, next, on to the browning. Okay, we're ready for the browning. What we're going to do is we're going to try what I've seen a lot of people do, and this goes to Sous Vide everything. I've been watching a lot of them and seeing how they do stuff. So shout out to them. We use a browning torch. Meat's done, all we're going to do is get some brown on it. So there we go, a perfectly brown piece of meat. It's an interesting way to do it, but the thing about it is, like wine, our first taste is with our eyes, so if it's unbecoming from the outside, that kind of gray, it's not really appetizing. It does taste good, trust me, but now that we got the brown on it, it's almost time to eat, okay? Now the meat is browned, it's time to get ready to eat. We're going to start off with the pairing I chose for this particular dish is our newly released non-vintage Primoroso. Non-NV or non-vintage means that it is a wine that is a blend of multiple vintages. So what I've been able to do with this is take some of our more aged wines, Cabernet Sauvignon, that have like 3 to 4 years of barrel age to it, with nice structure and developed tannins, and put it in with younger Zinfandels, a little bit of, I think there's some Petit Syrah in here, and so it's Primitivo, Petit Syrah, and Cabernet. So you get the backbone of the Petit Syrah, the depth and complexity of the Cabernet Sauvignon, and then some Primitivo for some nice fruit characteristics. Definitely drinking nice. And so we're going to put together a traditional roast beef with mashed potatoes and gravy. So we're going to cut into it here. See how it's nice and soft. You can cook it at higher temperatures in the sous vide, and what that will do is it will give you more of a flaky, fall apart characteristic. So see, we're nicely cooked, still pink all the way through. So I'm going to cut into it, taste it. So I've been working on these top round roasts, as you guys have witnessed, for a few weeks, trying different recipes, cook methods. This is definitely the most tender that we've come across. So it's about 20 hours. It's moist, it's cooked, it's flavorful. So I'm impressed. Now I've got everything staged and ready to go to plate up the meal. I got some fresh mashed potatoes that I made. Just a dollop on there. We're going to add a couple pieces of the freshly cooked meat. 1, 2, 3. And now some gravy made with the pan drippings. Just poured on top. There you go. And there you are. A nice, enjoyable meal. So it'll pair greatly with the Primoroso, I'm sure. I'm going to give it a shot here. Mashed potatoes. Good home cooking. That is very good. So I know not everybody has a sous vide machine, but if you've been wondering about it, for this piece of meat, it did a great job. So hope you enjoyed it. It maybe gives you inspiration to go out and try something different. Thank you for joining me here in the kitchen, and look forward to seeing you soon. See you later. Okay, I know I said it in the piece, but I'm going to say it again. That sous vide method did an incredible job on that piece of meat. I know we've done it several times. That one, everything's been different and unique and good, but that one really impressed me. Just the tenderness of the meat, does a good job. So if you have access to one of those devices or can borrow one because your friends bought it for Christmas and they're not using it anymore, give it a shot. You'll be impressed too, I think. That is going to wrap it up for our show. First of all, I want to answer the question we keep getting all the time: when are you guys going to open up? We're still in stage 2 according to the governor's plan. We've been there for about 2.5 weeks. So if the numbers keep looking good, it's supposed to last 4 weeks and then potentially move to stage 3, at which time we can open up. So we're still hopeful that by mid-June we'll be able to open up for tastings. So keep checking back and we will keep you informed. But in the meantime, if you're running out of your favorite Oso Libre wines, we are happy to ship you some. With summer knocking on our door, starting to get warm out there, we've brought in some cool shippers so we can use ice packs and keep your wines safe all the way through delivery. So that's going to be included for wine club members in orders of 6 bottles or more. So please take advantage of that. That'll help you make it through the summer. Also, if you like the video, please click like and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you won't miss out on any of our upcoming new videos. From me and everybody else here at Oso Libre, we want to thank you for tuning in and look forward to seeing you next time. Stay safe, everybody. And
Don't want it to look too empty now, Michael.
Okay.
Oh, curious. You can see those from when you drive the... Okay.
Sous Vide is cooking meats and other foods in water baths so that you get a precise... It was gold, Jerry. Gold.
So we are located here in one of 11.
Let's start talking about the wine of the month, shall we?